Okay, welcome to Public Policy Show. We're live from Harvard Business School, and we have Theo Skeadas today as a guest. Um, Theo, please tell us, how did you get into Cambridge Local First, and what do you do there?
Sure. Okay. So a little bit about myself. I've worked in foreign policy the last few years, specializing in the Middle East and North Africa. Beforehand, I was a student at HKS, the Harvard Kennedy School.
Okay.
Before I worked in international development, and I was particularly interested in issues of inequality, socioeconomic inequality,
Okay.
and issues like community empowerment, poverty alleviation, women's advancement across the Middle East and North Africa. So I spent a few years working there. And my undergraduate degree was in philosophy.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, philosophical issues, one of which is very much related with inequality. So, in February, the previous executive director of Cambridge Local First stepped down.
Right.
She's now running for Cambridge City Council. And I was asked to step in as an interim executive director, and I accepted. I've been living in Cambridge on and off, but mostly on since 2008. And I've gotten pretty invested in community development, building civil society through a number of different channels, both political and nonprofit. So I was excited about the ability to work in a nonprofit context, but with local business owners. And of particular, a personal interest. Oh, there's a little bit of pushback.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Interest was that my family has a lot of small business owners. So my family, when they came to the States from Greece about 100 years ago, started a series of local businesses across the Northeast and also in the Southeast of the U.S. And so my parents and all my aunts and uncles are all small business owners across different spaces. And so it was a very exciting opportunity for me to get engaged in a space that I have a very personal connection to,
Right.
but I've also had a professional interest in for quite some time.
Wow, very exciting.
Yep.
And can you tell us about some of the projects that you're excited about?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, I have a bunch of notes here. So we've been doing a lot of things since I stepped in February. So the first thing is that we got a grant from the city to work on a new website. And what's particularly exciting about the website is that we've streamlined the experience across demographics. And so the idea is that a visitor to the website can have a curated experience based on how he or she identifies. So, for example, a visitor will have a different experience than a resident. And the idea is that we're trying to encourage them to shop at places that would be of natural interest for them. It also has a very robust member directory. So visitors to the website can view a whole array of local businesses. So the website, we've been moving a lot of our services to the online domain, recognizing that a lot of value can be provided across digital domains.
Absolutely.
So in conjunction with the website, we've been doing a pretty extensive social media campaign focused on educating people in Cambridge, consumers specifically, about the importance of shopping locally. So those are two things. I'm happy to talk about 15 other things, but maybe, I don't know, should I go into greater depth?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. So we've been prioritizing digital marketing to residents from across the city, across different social media campaigns. We have a pretty large social media following now across all demographics. So students at college, but also older residents who've been living here for 50, 60 years. And we have a monthly newsletter that highlights the various events that are going on at our local businesses.
Right.
We've hired a summer intern to help us undertake a number of events. We've been building partnerships with stakeholders across the city. So, for example, we're partnering now with local media organizations to cross-pollinate in terms of advertising the work of local businesses, but also the perils that local businesses are facing. So when, for example, an organization is facing a turbulent time, we want to advertise that to the community so that they can then assist the organization, whether by consuming or advocating for them, and in other ways too.
Right.
We're also working with, for example, the Phillips Brooks House Association, PBHA, at Harvard. We're going to do a day of service next week for incoming freshmen. So we're going to have 50 freshmen, and what they'll do is they'll go out to business members. So we have a sort of a membership of local businesses from around the city, about 400 members, and they'll give them a survey to assess where we might be most effective as a service provider for them.
Okay.
So that's just an example with Harvard that we're working with. We're also working with different city councilors to try to implement different legislative solutions to help create a framework, a regulatory framework, which is more conducive to the construction of local businesses. So, for example, we're working with a city councilor on improving the licenses process. Right now, it's rather cumbersome, and it makes it difficult for local businesses. For example, if a cafe wanted to have a musician come on a Friday evening. Right now, they need to get a certain set of permissions, and they're rather difficult. And so we're trying to streamline the process. Additionally, we're working with city councilors and the city itself to think about how Cambridge can more effectively regulate against vacant storefronts. So vacant storefronts are an issue, specifically in Harvard Square, as you may have noticed. Just in the last year and a half, a lot of the square has turned over.
Right.
So it has displaced local businesses, and there is a very large volume of empty storefronts. And so what we're thinking is, or what we're trying to help with, is creating a policy that would most effectively regulate against vacant storefronts. So imposing a fine, after a 12-month period of vacancy is something the city is considering, and we're weighing in with feedback on that process.